Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison, and I want to welcome you to Humanity Rising, to day 126. Humanity Rising is an initiative of Ubiquity University and over 350 partnering organizations now that have come together in the midst of this extraordinary pandemic to create a global commons within which people from around the world can share their information about what's going on, to confer on how they can be more strategically effective, and how we can just come together in community to empower each other for the work that must be done to ensure that the post-pandemic world is more resilient and healthy and sustainable and in alignment with natural systems. Today is a particularly exciting day for all of us, I think, because we're going to celebrate the nation of Chile, who over the weekend, as I've been reporting over the last couple of days, really made some historic advancements in governance, becoming the first country anywhere to create the beginnings of a constitution that will mandate that the General Assembly be 50% women and 50% men to ensure gender equality in all the governments around the world would probably be the quickest way any of us could come up with to solve most of our problems. We'd solve them faster if executive leadership was entirely in the hands of women. But Chile is getting us halfway there. And so this is a really momentous time. And I just want to recall that you remember the excitement that we had in May when the city of Amsterdam said that in the midst of the pandemic, it was making the decision to dedicate itself to donut economics as it gave shape to the post-pandemic world and thereby put human well-being at the center of Amsterdam's policy formation for the kind of city it wants to be as we move into the decade of the 2020s. New Zealand followed suit as a nation, and the re-elected prime minister, a splendid woman, has now announced that New Zealand as a country is going to put human well-being as a central focus of policy formation for the entire country. What a beautiful thing. And now we have the people of Chile rising up in a very dramatic, visionary way. So this is a celebratory session today in an otherwise, pretty bleak world out there with the pandemic and, the various vicissitudes in the United States with the democratic process there. We have lots of issues, lots of challenges, lots of hardships, but we also have spectacular reasons to celebrate our humanity as we rise together to face the future. So with that as an introduction, let me turn it over to my good friend and co-moderator, Sabina van Gafka, who will commence our program. Sabina?
Thank you, Jim. And just listening to what your words, and also, that we can actually also be a portal, that Humanity Rising can be a portal, not only for what is happening in the world, but really shedding light on all the good initiatives that are happening in the world. There's so much narratives around us based on fear and war and dread and everything. And it's so amazing and in gratitude to really be part of an ecosystem where we could convey all the positive and thriving and genuinely game-changing initiatives and projects, and just, with Chile now, that are happening around the world and can solidify it in a platform like this. And I also want to say a warm welcome to all of our viewers around the world, and also our dedicated chat who are always with us each and every day in our Zoom call here. It's amazing to feel the support from not only our speakers and panelists, but also viewers all over the world. And just as Jim said, it's so rewarding and gratifying to see examples of actions of change as we do now with Chile. I mean, what a thing that has surfaced, and also an example for the world that a country, Chile, abolishes the dictatorship era and constitution and instead transitions in a groundbreaking vote by the citizens, not least, for a more inclusive democracy. And also, as Jim mentioned, voting for a new constitution that calls for a new General Assembly to govern Chile based on gender equality. Now, if that's not a step forward, I don't know what is. So, and it also visibly sets an example of how collaborative action can make change. As over a year ago, Chileans took out their frustration to the streets, insisting, readdressing the nation's deep structural problems, that it would require more than a reform and rather, a new constitution with more rights and better social protections. And then on Sunday, this happens. And also 79% voting based and demanding this. And also, as Jim mentioned, which is real pride also to hear and learn, is that women now have a greater voice in Chile's future. A few years back or last year, leaders and women in Congress in Chile, insisted never again without women. And then in December 2019, for those of you who don't know, the Congress conceded, and by law, half of the citizens elected to write Chile's new constitution must be women. And that is truly, truly a step forward. And with such pride over Chile to be able to take part of something historic like this, that I really do hope will be an incentive and, a bearer of a path forward for other democracies around this world, and a great example of what can be achieved even in times when it looks like there's nothing, that everything is out of our hands, but it certainly isn't. And together we can truly make change. So before I introduce our distinguished panel for today, and also colleagues from Humanity Rising in Chile, I would like to open up the session with a 1-minute heart coherence to align ourselves to here and now, and also to pay gratitude, to send compassion and love to Chile for what they have accomplished, and show our gratitude and our appreciation for it. So let us close our eyes and just inhale and exhale with hopefully some music in the background. And with that, it is an honor for us to have with us today representative, like I say, who have initiated a Humanity Rising in Chile, and who themselves are also at the forefront of the struggle that has been, and really can convey everything that is happening. So once again, congratulations to Chile and for its cultural change. And I say a warm welcome to today's convener, who is Carlos Prosser González, a passionate environment consultant, a universal specialist in coaching, management, and holistic researcher of culture. And Carlos is also a renowned networker with experience in networks of planetary consciousness, ecological and pacifism, and design of the natural system school environmental certification in Chile. So I hand it over to you, Carlos, and your panelists.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our heart. Welcome to Chile. We are celebrating now. We can stop to smile because we have a very great victory. The victory of the people, the humble people, the democratic people, the peaceful people, the one who stand up and fight for their rights. The people with the vote say, we don't want the old constitution. We don't want the old constitution of Pinochet time. We don't want the model of neoliberalism model of constitution. We want a new time. We went in the street, we shout, we dance, we paint our body, and we say we want a new world, a world of human mankind, unity in heart, unity in songs. Today will be a very special day. I want to transmit, I want to share with you all our energy. We have a word in Mapuche. Mapuche is our native people that names the people of the earth. Mapu, earth, Che, people. The people of the earth say Newen. Newen is the natural force. It's the force that you can find in the trees, in the rivers, in the mountains. I will perform in a little minute more an exercise to give you our Newen, that make you feel really empowered, but our nature and our people. First, I want to do an exercise with you. I will propose you to do an exercise that means a holistic moment. How we can do an experience that make you feel who really you are. Not only a mind, a people with rational ability or skill to understand my words. My English is only very well. I can make some mistake, but I need to share with you the holistic view that I think is the most important trend to our culture. I was working for 40 years researching culture, trying to understand what really means culture. When I was a young man fighting against the dictatorship, we asked in a workshop, what is culture? And that question changed my life. And I want to share with you the result of this incredible journey, trying to understand what culture is. And first, I invite you to stretch your body. Yes, doesn't mind where you are, if you are sit or you are stand up, you need to feel your body, to be grateful about your body. Just try to touch the walls and try to touch the heaven and try to touch the earth and put it all together, combining in your heart. Look at this. You can put a birth of freedom of your heart and touch your body with a lot of love. Love your body. Take all your body, give a caresses. Love yourself. Give an unconditional moment of love to your body, to your legs, to your hips, the whole body. Love your body. You are the body. But you also are your heart. Just pay attention for your heart now. Be connected with the coherence of your heart. This is wonderful, wonderful to know how wise is the heart. When I was in India and the people speak about the intelligence, they put the hands in the in the heart. It's incredible. In Chilean tradition, the old folks said, put your hands in your heart and be sincere. What happened with your heart in the past few days? What filled your heart? Love, hope, happiness as the Chilean experience in the last day? Or your heart is afraid, is with fear? Just, is this the moment of your heart? Just receive a message from your heart. There's a wonderful word for hard math people who chair here in Humanity Rising Summit. And they said that the heart is wise, is intelligent, not depending the rational or the mind. Connect with your heart and just receive the message from your heart. And let your bird, your wonderful heart energy expanding to the whole planet, the whole universe. And now pay attention to your mind and give a break to your mind. For a little moment, expand your consciousness beyond the mind and look the mind. As we connect with the body, with the heart, now we are trying to connect the mind as a part of my whole being. And give a break. Let it flow. Don't give a direction, an objective. Just let it remember, have some memories, the sound of my voice, your thoughts. Just let it flow. Your mind is so busy. We had 500 years. The humanity believed that mind, the reason, are the real dimension of everything. It is not real. Mind is wonderful. I love my mind, but cannot be the boss. Need to be democratic with heart and with body. And just inhale, very soft, slow, deep into your mind, and give light, give clearness, openness, and just exhale all bad feelings, bad thoughts. Just clean up your mind. Inhale light and just let it flow. Exhale the darkness. And that's we are. Mind, heart, and body. And how is the relationship in your own life? Who own? Who are the boss? Or you have a democratic process in yourself? Could be wonderful if you try to harmonize the three levels, but you are a person who have a mind and a heart and a body, and that's all. Just take attention to the breath. And when you breathe, the air that you breathe is the air of the planet, our wonderful air. Could be breathed by a tree, a few moments, just breathed by the wings of a butterfly of come to the oceans or from the mountains. You are air, the air of the earth. But if you pay attention to your body and you feel how many water you have, more than 70% is water. Your water is the water of the rivers, of the clouds, of the rain, of the ocean flowing in yourself. You are air, you are water. And pay attention to your body, to your cells, to your bone, to your muscle. The same components of the soil, of the trees, of the mountains. You are air, you are water, and you are earth. But there is no limit. Your being is more wide sensation. The energy that you feel in yourself is the energy of the sun. The heat in your sun is your sun, inner sun. You are air, you are water, you are earth, and you are the fire. Everything combined, and you don't have a limit. What really you are being part of the earth and being part of the solar system and beyond. You are part of the Milky Way and beyond. You are part of the universe. You're a universal being. You're a cosmic being. Welcome. Now we can understand. Now we can meet really you are. We are universal being, wonderful miracles being. We are really blessed to be alive. And we will celebrate this with a little exercise that combines different cultures. That is my kind of work. I travel around the world and I can understand that there are a lot of connections. We will use two words in Mapuche language, and we will combine with some movement from Sufi tradition. I'm a Sufi tradition, and we will add the mantra vibration. Okay, that is a big challenge, but I need that you really perform in your house, in your place, and the words you need to pronounce with mantric vibration. The first word is newen, and you put your hand in your heart. Newen. That means I take the natural force I put in my heart. Newen. And the other word is felay. Felay means everything is gonna be all right. Just trust. Trust in life. Trust in human mankind. And you say to the world, felay. Newen. Felay. Newen. Felay. Newen. 7 times. You're okay? Are you ready? Here we go. We will check the world now. 1, 2, 3. Newen. Felay. Newen. Felay. Newen. Felay. Newen. Felay. Newen. Felay. Newen. Felay. And the last one, Newen. Felay. We will continue celebrating. I want to present a very loved friend and a very fine musician. It's what a privilege, an honor, can listen absolutely alive. A wonderful composer, a leader of the musician in Chile, and a political leader too. His name is Subira. Welcome, Subira, to the Humanity Rising Summit.
Thank you so much, Carlos, and I'm so honored and happy that you invited me. And I have to say to everybody here that Carlos has been a very important person to this country, to me also, in the environmentalist movement, in the putting together all the energy to change in peace, but with focus and getting there where we need. This has been a joyful weekend, a joyful time after really heavy times also in our country. We've been working a lot for this, and it's still on the process. We got this approved. We really beat this election now, and now comes the important next part, that with this equal of genders people, constitutional, will write a new constitution, and I think everything's gonna come very beautiful for us and for the world. And we need to still be alert, be there, and we've been there also with Carlos. From music, I'm a composer, as he said, I'm a musician. So one of the most important impacts for us is the nature of the south of Chile. Carlos asked me to play some composition, and that is part of 3 CDs I released on the 90s, 98, 97, and 99, dedicated to Chilean parks. Beautiful, pristine parks with trees, lagoons, volcanoes, hot springs, and rivers, and which is the homeland to most of the Chilean native people, Mapuche, which is our heritage and our present also. They are very active people that are living there. And so it's music that comes from the silence and from the realizing that the existence is so long, and we human beings are so short as unities. We've been, as species, we've been a short time, and as a persons we stay here for a short time. And compared to a tree, these trees, the araucaria trees, are sometimes 2,000 years old, and as a species they were there from the Jurassic time. And so once you sit there, you meditate, or just walk and feel the place in this nature and this forest, it makes you remember what we are. Dust, a little piece on this existence, as beautiful as the sun, as big as a little, fungus on the soil. So that's where this music comes from. And thanks, Carlos, for inviting to share this music. I'll play it here in my house, in my piano. And we will see some images from another friend and environmentalist and photographer, friend of us that lives there in Pucón, in this area, that's called Rodrigo Clementi. So I also thank him for the images you will see while I'll be playing now some music from these CDs, Cañi and Cahuelmo. Thank you, and I hope you like.
Wow. Thanks, Subira. Wonderful. Yes, we are in heaven. We are in heaven, Lillian. It's absolutely true. We have in heaven. Lillian, you are absolutely right. The old ideas about separation, reduction, take the crazy idea that Earth is different than heaven. When I explained to my beloved son Gabriel that where we are in the Earth, and where is the Earth? It is in the universe, in the heaven, and we are part of the heaven, so we are in the heaven. And this kind of music reminds us that the wonderful life is wonderful, and we are in heaven. We are wonderful people. We need to speak as Donovan said, sing about the dignity of the people. We have a square in Chile named the Dignity Square. It's a very important place where the people manifest their wishes to be a democratic country with a more balanced, more just society. Well, now I have the privilege, and it's an incredible story I want to tell you because I knew him here in the Humanity Rights Summit, a very fine person. And we started to be connected because he said, I'm in Chile now. He's a wonderful being who was walking around the world more than 50,000 of kilometers. He plants in Mongolia, in South Africa, thousands of trees. And now he's living in La Junta, Aysén. I want to invite to share with you the experience to live in the south of Chile, in Patagonia, a very wonderful being that be part of the chat. I think most of you can recognize Paul Coleman. Welcome, my friend.
Wow, thank you, Carlos. Well, the energy from you was absolutely enlightening and electric, and Rodrigo, the music and the scenes, of course, absolutely remind me of where we are here in Patagonia in Chile. I'm going to talk a little bit about that connection to heaven and earth. I'm going to talk about our life here in Patagonia on a farm that where we practice permaculture and natural regeneration. So I'm going to share a few slides about that and go straight into it, and try and say as much as I possibly can about this beautiful country and our beautiful part of the world in the limited time that we have. I'm sharing my screen, and I believe everyone can see this. Is that true, George? Anybody?
You can go full screen. Thank you so much.
Okay, full screen. Okay, there we go. So, as I mentioned, we practice permaculture, and I thought I'd just give a very brief explanation on what permaculture is. It's an agricultural system that basically seeks to regenerate the earth, and it's based around it's modeled on the natural ecosystems. Principles, well, they're quite basic. Observe the cycles of nature, work with nature, create biodiversity, store, use energy wisely. By store, basically it's storing the energy in the earth, and also, of course, storing the carbon in the soil, which is very beneficial in combating climate change. And then also be creative and adaptive, and discover the ability to change, because changes, of course, are increasingly necessary in this world that we live in at the moment. So that's the basic principles. Permaculture also involves community and even such thing as alternative construction. So now I'll take you to Patagonia. Patagonia is a very big place, and when I was brought up in England, we always knew Patagonia as being Argentina, because that's where all of the beef came from. And so I always thought of it for a long time as being Argentina because of that. But in reality, it's actually Argentina and Chile. Now on this map here, over here we have Buenos Aires, and then down here we have Argentinian Patagonia. Argentinian Patagonia is much drier than the Chilean side. Here we have the Andes, which separate Chile and Argentina. And as you notice here on the Chilean side, it's much greener because, of course, it rains a whole lot more. It's much closer to the ocean. And we live a long way down from Santiago. Patagonia Chileno in Chile basically begins about here, midway up the map, and we live in this beautiful little place called La Junta. Now, in order to get here through Chile, we can't just drive here. It's not possible. So we have to take a ferry. If you take a ferry, it's going to take anywhere from 14 to 24, sometimes 30 hours, depending on the weather. And so when my wife Kanomi and I arrived here in Patagonia, we came here because we wanted beautiful nature. We wanted clean water, fresh air, beautiful forests. Wanted a beautiful place to live a life that we hoped will be sustainable. And for 6 months, we traveled along the carretera, looking for a piece of land in the middle of winter, and experienced beautiful sights like this. There are, of course, beautiful forests, as I say, and there's crystal clear waters and rivers. Vast scenes, gorgeous lakes. We're surrounded by countless national parks, and where we live is, I think there's 3 or 4 of them within just 30 or 40 kilometers. finally, we ended up buying a little piece of land, around about a hectare, just outside of the village of La Junta, a couple of kilometers away, at the confluence of two mighty rivers, the Rio Paleno and the Rio La Salot, with a wonderful view of a volcano, a dormant volcano, Melimoyo. And we decided that this was where we were going to build our home. Now, because we're on top of a hill, there was certain practicality we had to think about. One was getting the material up, because there's no road to our land. So we had to carry everything up. So we decided to build with the earth, at least for the most part, because earth is readily available. So the form of construction we chose was earth bags, also known as super adobe. Basically what we did was we dug out for the foundation of our home, dug all around, and then we put the earth into the bags. This is very basic explanation. And then we compact it in the bags to make it very firm. And then once we have a row, we take barbed wire and we lay it all along the row, and this provides tensile strength. It's actually a very good structure in the form of earthquakes because it's very strong. And of course, it's also very environmental, because we don't have to bring things from too far to be able to build our home. Bit by bit, you lay the bags row by row on top of each other as if you were laying bricks, and you build up to the height of your walls with the bags. For us, we decided to go with our house. The roof would be made of wood sourced locally. And here we are framing the house. Then, of course, comes the roof. We chose a wooden roof so that when we're actually inside the house, we can see some very, very beautiful local wood. And then we covered we put insulation and then zinc on the top for the waterproofing. Now, I'll give an explanation as to the benefits of this house and what we did next. We get a mountain of rain here where we live in La Junta. And of course, it can get very cold very quickly. And so we wanted the place to be dry, and we wanted it to be warm, especially warm. We stayed in a lot of places where there was no insulation in the buildings, and it was extremely cold. So we really wanted it to be warm. And so we decided to go with a couple of forms of techniques. We decided to cover the sides with turf, kind of like an Icelandic style house. And then we didn't insulate inside the house, we insulated around the house, the earth around the house, to 3 or 4 meters all the way around the house. And this is so, as the years go by, the earth beneath the house gets dry. And then when the earth is dry beneath the house, it also gets warmer. So with there being no insulation under the floor, when it comes to winter, the heat rises up into the house, which enables us to keep a very nice temperature. All of the rain that falls on the roof rolls off the roof onto the turf, and because we have a sheet of plastic underneath, we direct the water into ponds. Because we're also, even though we get a mountain of rain, we're still concerned about water, because we don't actually have don't actually have any, we're not attached to the municipal water. We don't have a stream on our land. We have one behind, which used to run dry for a couple of months a year, but now because of climate change can sometimes go 4 or 5 months dry. So water is crucial to us. So all the water that falls on the roof drains into ponds. As you can see here, this is from 2011, and we've just finished turfing the house. Oh, and then this photo actually won us an award for sustainability, which came with $1,000 that we could donate. So we donated it to Food and Trees for Africa to build a school community food garden, which is something that we're also heavily involved in while we're doing this. And this is what it looked like in 2018. By adding the turf, we also added temperature. In the previous photo, It was taken in 2011 when it was -5 outside. Inside the house in the morning without the fire was around 2 degrees. That's a 7 degrees centigrade difference. Now, when it's -5 outside, because the earth over the years has got warmer, it is up to +12 inside, which is a massive 17 degrees centigrade temperature difference, which means that we have to use very little firewood to make our house a comfortable temperature. As you can see by the roof, we also have solar panels. Our system's 12 volt, not 220, so we don't need a big system. All of the things that we've done, it's kind of like a smart house, except it's without all of the technology, and it's 1/50th of the price. Everything we do is very inexpensive and doable on a local basis. People often wonder, they say, oh, it must be dark, but we've got 3 windows in the house. We have a big picture window looking towards the rivers and the beautiful scene. And as you can see by the photograph, we have lots of light. Over the years, the interior has changed, but also so has the view. This is the view from the window. It's what I can see when I look out of the window, this gorgeous view. So we're warm, comfortable, and with this great big view. Our house is small, but the view is big, so we don't ever feel claustrophobic, not with a space like this. Now, in 2010, when we first began building our house, this is what our land looked like. There was not a single tree on it. There was not a single plant. It was for many years ago, the trees were all cut down and burned, and then it was used for many years as a cattle pasture, and it was very badly eroded. But consequently, it meant that we didn't have to destroy any natural beauty. We could only add to the beauty. And so from that day on, at the same time as building the house, we also began planting trees. By 2018, we planted 1,350 local trees, native trees to the area, and 100 fruit trees, as well as also creating the gardens. The trees, of course, are a very valuable resource, as well as also protecting us from the elements, because to the south, which will be off to the left in the photograph, we have a valley that more or less points straight down to Antarctica. And when you get winds coming up from Antarctica, it is extremely cold. So all of the big trees we planted on that side. So, and then in the middle, we didn't plant big trees because we wanted to maintain the view. And these trees also give us berries and fruits. We're still planting trees. Recently, we had a campaign for the International Day of Peace, inviting people from all over the world to add their names to the roots of the trees for the International Day of Peace, September the 21st. And we got a whole group of our friends to participate in this. And we planted another 160 trees. And we planted them in the space that I created, clearing the brush that had formed over the years. This is just a tiny little bit of the bushes that I've had to cut to plant those trees. And as you can see, it gives us a lot of material. And this material we can use in our compost, we can use it as mulch, we cover our paths with it. We are actually getting a wood chipper so that we can chop it all up and make our life easier when it comes to spreading it. We can use this in our rocket stoves. So we have a mountain of material from these small forests that we created. And it's only just not even 9 years since we began. Another way that we use this material is in what's called hugelkultur. We bury the wood in the gardens, and then, as you can see, we cover it with soil, and then the roots of the plants go down to the wood. When it's dry, they can absorb the moisture that has been collected during the heavy rains and the nutrients from the wood. And then we can have real permaculture. It just keeps on growing. Everything keeps on growing. Now, I mentioned before about the water and from the roof. This is a simple pond that we created in 2011. This pond probably cost around about $20. And it's been existing now for, well, it's still there, but it'll go on for 10 years. All the water falls from the roof. You don't see it make its way to the pond, but it does because it passes invisibly underneath the turf and underneath the gardens and goes to the pond. We create the ponds in the same way as we do our house. We excavate perhaps 1 meter, fill the bags to raise the walls another meter. Then we line them mostly with this very inexpensive black plastic, which we can get at the local ferreteria. It's important to be able, for us to be able to buy things locally, because otherwise we have to travel 300 kilometers to anywhere big to be able to buy anything else. So ferreteria is a hardware shop, it keeps the price down, but it also makes it makes it accessible to other people. And for that reason, we become quite well known because we get lots of groups from the government coming to study our ponds. As you can see, within a very short while, this is probably like maybe a year later, the pond looks quite natural. This is just the same picture in the photo. It looks very natural. And within no time at all, they are full of frogs and tadpoles. And these frogs and tadpoles help to balance our ecosystem because they eat the mosquitoes that would otherwise plague our life. And interestingly, down in the village, which is kind of swampland, it's full of mosquitoes. But I don't think I've been bitten for the last couple of years. The frogs are doing their job wonderfully. And of course, with all of the ponds, we also get dragonflies, and then we get, of course, with the trees, lots of birds. We've definitely brought the biodiversity back. Then we come to another way of keeping the water, but also extending the gardens, is the terraces. We now have 19 ponds. Every time we make a terrace, we build a pond. It makes it easier to water by water the terraces. And all of the paths are designed so that when it gets heavy rain, it directs the water into the terraces. Within a very short period of time, it begins to look totally natural. And here in this photo where you can see we've taken away the turf. Now what I do with the turf, I build these walls that you can see, and everything becomes very natural looking. So absolutely nothing goes to waste. Now what you see here as well is what is called a walapini. It originated in Bolivia. It's an earth-sheltered greenhouse, and we began experimenting them around about 2011. As well, we've extended the house. As you can see, we have a sunroom, kitchen and pantry, conservatory plant nursery, which now serves as a workshop when we have people here studying things, connected to the greenhouse. It means basically we can get our things from the greenhouse without having to go outside in the stormy weather. With this type of earth-sheltered greenhouse, we can grow things all year. This was our first earth-sheltered greenhouse, Walapini. And it was so successful, we grew a couple of small watermelons, and then we decided, whoa, we can pretty well grow anything in this. So we decided to build another. The funding from this was great. One day we had a visitor from a local agricultural department in that, and they said, Paul, we got money for projects. Would you like some? So I said, yes, sure. So he said, what do you want to do? I said, I'd like to build a big Walapini. And within a month, they gave us the money to build a big Walapini. It's a lot of work. It was 3 months of labor, but they paid for all of the material, which was great. We dug it out, but by hand, of course. And here you can see a very happy Konomi almost at the end of the construction process. After a couple of months later, the vegetables are growing. As you can see here, we're also building a pond. The pond inside helps to keep the place cool in the summer and then warm in the winter. It provides a very good thermal mass. We've been very impressed with that. Plus, we don't have to carry the water too far to water the plants. And then a couple of months after that, it's starting to look like a jungle. Here you can see we're even growing papaya trees. We've got avocado. And now, of course, it is a jungle. This year we were fill it even more, and we are hoping to get our first fruits from the papaya. That's the finished results. It's very low profile, which I think is very important, because in permaculture, you also don't want to destroy the natural scene. You want it all to kind of blend in as much as possible. One of our best incomes comes from seeds. Because of all the plants that we've got, we actually buy seeds from up north of the country, and then we bring them down here, experiment to see if we can grow them here in Patagonia. If they work, we plant them the next year. The seeds that we gather, we don't eat any, we plant the seeds. And then if it's successful, then the next year we sell the seeds. And we started off with just local people buying a few of our seeds, word of mouth passed out. Next thing you know, people all over the region are buying them. We don't do any advertising, and now we're selling them all over the country. People are telling us all the time they have a more than 90% germination rate. They're very impressed with the seeds. And at first, when we started to sell kale seeds, no one had ever even heard of kale down here. And a few years later, we went to sell kale seeds at our local farmers market, and no one was interested because everyone had our kale growing in their gardens. So in this sense, we're definitely increasing the biodiversity. As well, we also, yes?
You have 2 minutes more.
Okay, great. Well, we also do collect our things from our garden. We make vinegars, multiple types of vinegars. We give tours of our gardens now to all sorts of groups. And because of the tours and the visits from the government and all the media we've received, then we decided to invite our friends to create the Austral Garden Route. And so what we do is tourists visiting the region can come and attend workshops, meet up with local people, go to local farms, experience the local culture. Our workshops are value added, so we teach people how to make money from the products of their garden and thereby enhance local economies and strengthen local economies. These workshops have been going terrific. We've got vinegar here, vegan cooking here, sushi here. And because of the pandemic, which of course has been an absolute disaster everywhere, but for us, to be honest, it's not been such a disaster. We've now taken these workshops online, and it's been very successful. So as a group, we're practicing what we're calling virtual tourism. And we are now giving workshops to 10 schools and 20 teachers in Puerto Aysén, one of the larger towns in our region, advising them on how to create organic gardens in their schools. And this is a big thing for me. I think every single school on the planet should be growing their own food, and that we should all be consuming locally. And that is our goal with the Austral Garden Route, and our lives here is to encourage as much local consumption as possible and create local markets for everybody so they can raise their economy. And as a community, we can all thrive into the future without participating in the devastation of the planet. And I think that I can finish about there. And yep, that's good.
Thanks, Paul.
Chile
is a very lucky country to having you in the South. We honor your presence, and you remind me another person very important for Chilean people, that is Douglas Tompkins and Chris Tompkins, a marriage that really helped us to protect our land. Thousands of very wonderful places now are protected, are owned by the Chilean people, because they give us the really thanks to wonderful people as you that give us that kind of presence. Well, we want to share with you not only our political victory, very important, we want to share you our cultural change. In Chile, environmental issues are very important, each day more. I worked to design a school environmental certification, And it was an amazing project with the government of the first time of the Chilean liberation. And now we have 2,050 school and high schools that now are certificate and working in an environmental way. That's now I want to share with you another part of our culture. It's creative, it's indomitable, it's a very courage people that have a special combination of culture and music. And now I want to present Subir again that will give you a present of music that really shows how our culture is changing. Go on, Subir.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, everybody. And how beautiful to see the work of Paul. I really want to go down there to Patagonia and be there. That would be fantastic. And thanks for doing that. And I want to introduce Emai Cepeda here, the drummer of the band. He was very nice to come and want to share with you. We're going to play some other energy, more passionate energy also for our compositions. I hope you like. I gostei. a song that is dedicated to one of our main bands, I would say, the first band that started blending folk with rock on the 60s, Los Jaivas. They are still playing. This is dedicated to the drummer of this band, who was one of the main composers, and he passed away on an accident on a field doing research. It's called Tonada, and it's written in a rhythm typical of folk Chilean that is called cueca.
So sings really wonderful music. That kind of rhythm is from the folk music in Chile, and this is really a great moment, Subiria. I will present, using the last minutes we have, I want to share with you something that's very important for me. Is I was part of this process, the Humanity Rising Summit, and it was incredible to have the experience to join a lot of wisdom from all the continents, different kind of people. And I want to present some ideas about synthesis, some patterns, and some proposal I want to do. I will go to the first one. Yeah, the eternal unity. It is wonderful to know that we are this state of consciousness that represent the highest level of spiritual evolution of humanity now is an experience accessible to more and more people. I am one with my Father, said Jesus, trying to make him understood by his patriarchal society that represent divinity in a father. Buddha said, all the paths of goodness lead to alignment upon awakening. We are not separate. There is no border between the human and the world. It is possible to return to the true meaning of the word individual, the one who is not divided, the one who is connected, aware of the unity. And that is absolutely coincident with the ecological awareness, the new scientific understanding of our place in the reality, in the world. We are inseparable part of the web of life on Earth and the universe. The new science does not separate man from the world, society from nature, as rationalism did for the past 500 years. Our home is the universe, and we travel. Yes, we are traveling now in an incredible speed in the spaceship, a wonderful, a comfortable one, a spaceship Earth, being part of a dynamic flow that combines, as the new science said, matter, energy, and emptiness. We are cosmic beings. All human beings have the same value without distinction of race, color, economic level, sex, or nation. There is no chosen people or a superior type of human being. Each person is a planetary citizen, equal in rights and responsibilities. Climate emergency is the humanity's most transcendent global challenge in its history. We face a super adaptive intelligence test that demonstrate our ability to develop in harmony with the ecosystem that which we belong. The climate emergency is our first global challenge that affects the life of 7,800 million of persons that now are living in this planet. We are part of the problem, but we are part of the solution. A new model of society is emerging, a sustainable, loving, cooperative, peaceful, and happy society. Since the 80s, when I was part of the planetary initiative, millions of people in all continents had been invited to visualize the society in which they choose to live. The dream was very coincidental. Regardless of age, sex, or nationality, everybody imagined a world in harmony, without overcrowding, without fear, in which green beats gray, in which with a practice of radical collaboration, a sustainable society based on ecological behavior, renewable energy, conscious consume, a prosperous, like the house at the place of fall in Patagonia, creative and simple society. The basis of the solution is a cultural change for all, change in all dimensions of human culture, in the economy, in food, in transportation, in the way of sharing and living, in the health system, in the construction, in communications and art, in the use of energy and water, in everything, especially in economics. What do we produce? Only what does not produce negative environmental impact. How do we consume? With great care, awareness, avoiding excesses, optimizing our water consumed to the maximum, using only renewable energy, sharing prosperity, avoiding wealth concentration and business abuse, an economy as proposed here by Kate Rowers, oriented to the satisfaction of the common good, respectful of ecological limits. This is an opportunity to harmonize social change with personal self-realization. A society in harmony is the result of self-realized people who do not abandon their personal process to participate in the achievement of collective goals. Individualism and collectivism have shown their inability to solve the material and spiritual needs of humanity, creating an unstable society. Our global goal is the collective happiness and that of each one of the 7,800 million human beings. Just as the Kingdom of Bhutan did, it is essential to place happiness at the center of social action and cultural change. It is time to transcend the materialism and individualism that has dominated humanity in the recent years. It is necessary a balance between matter and spirit that provide quietness and happiness to humanity. The coronavirus crisis is a great opportunity for the global change. A society obsessed with this economic growth understood need to stop, to graduate, to prioritize those that really matter. We have been able to understand that our safety and well-being depends on our community behavior. We are recovering our sense of care, essential to face the climate crisis and the search for social harmony. A few proposals: unity, unity, unity. We need a global network. It's essential to transform this meeting space, a Humanity Rising Summit, in a network of networks, organizations, groups, and people who share previous patterns. A network that gives us the feeling of belonging, of being constantly connected, as the Human Rising Summit make the sensation of all of us that we are a single planet. We are millions, not just a few. We are millions of human beings active in cultural change. Disconnected, we seem few, irrelevant. Connected, we empower ourselves and we can show our power to the world. Creative and peaceful action. There is a space for diverse efforts and initiatives that need to be complementary. Welcome creativity, welcome innovation. How can we be smarter than Einstein? Remember that incredible story about a student who asked constantly to Einstein, how can be more smarter than you? Using our imagination in action. We need to open our mind and our heart, our body to a new possibilities and peace. Only peace. Peace is powerful. Peace is the way. Look at what wonderful image given my son Gabriel, who helped me to do this presentation. We are networkers, net weavers, apostles of unity. Every contact counts, every link makes a difference. We need a global contact directory. We are committed to integrate as many organizations, persons, and networks as possible with respect for the process and rhythm of each one, seducing with joy, humility, and flexibility. We are all one. We are a wonderful people. Just, I want to finish my presentation, give my hand to you. Just take my hand and feel that you are now forming a big circle and just move to one side and to the other side and just feel as a little rumor, as a little sound of the universe that we are part, that we are connected, that we are cosmic being. Wonderful. Thanks for the opportunity. A lot of love from Chile to the planet.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a beautiful, inspiring and heartfelt session, and just the vibrancy of your energy, Carlos. Really, it's such, it's like the soothness of what humanity needs at the moment, and the remembrance of, that peace is powerful. We are planetary systems or citizens, and we really are the solution. And also your conveyance on the importance of, the change of culture and how we can do it in unity. But above all, just the way you express humanity through the way of your being. And also, Sabira, the way you express humanity through your music, through the rhythm of your music, through the heartfelt echoing of your music. And also, Paul, thank you so much for sharing your tireless and passionate work of really contributing to Mother Earth, to biodiversity, and showing us how we can really do that on a both global and local level, and reconnecting our respect and connection with Earth, and thereby hopefully reconnecting with ourselves as humans. A quote came to mind when we were talking about this, because I've read many of her books. Isabel Allende, who is a Chilean writer and author of many popular books. And she had a quote that said, "We don't even know how strong we are until we're forced to bring that hidden strength forward. In times of tragedy, of war, of necessity, people do amazing things. The human capacity for survival and thriving and renewal is awesome." Thank you so much for also portraying that just in you three individuals. And I also want to extend that to our chat, because our chat people, because they're also part of this conversation and really contributing to it. So thank you so much to all of you. And I hand it over to Jim.
Thank you, Sabina. Well, folks, this is what the sound of victory feels like. You can just feel in our Chilean comrades the ecstasy of victory as the Chilean people, almost 50 years after the Pinochet coup, 1973. And let's think about this for a moment to savor this precious moment. Remember that the Salvador Allende had been elected, democratically elected president of Chile. He was a social democrat. He was motivated as Carlos and Sabira and Paul are today with social justice and social equality and humanitarian values. And this was perceived as a threat by the Nixon administration. And so in league with Pinochet in Chile, they overthrew and crushed thousands of people, killed and disappeared, and brought in an authoritarian regime that really shocked the world. You know, some countries have their trials and tribulations, but nobody pays much attention. But in 1973, when Allende was destroyed and democracy was snuffed out in Chile, Chile was carrying the world's soul. And all over the world, people were excruciated and mourned. And when Bernard Lietaer was killed, and the musician was killed, and people were escaping and people were disappearing, the whole world, like in 9/11, the whole world mourned. And all these decades later, we're coming back to where Allende wanted to take us. And it happened in a bloodless revolution through the ballot box. So let us savor the triumph of the Chilean people on behalf of us all. Because at a moment of real darkness, which is the pandemic and rising authoritarianism all over the world, with next Tuesday, even democracy in the United States of America at stake, what they just did was like a candle on the top of the hill. So Carlos, Subira, Paul, viva la revolution. And it's the revolution of the heart. This time it's the revolution of the heart. Sabina was absolutely correct. So thank you, everyone. And we will then meet again tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to go from the political and the cultural and the ecological to the deeply personal. We're going to have a woman named Jane Nelson and her comrades in the emotional freedom technique network share with us simple techniques that we can utilize to stabilize our emotions and to bring emotional freedom at a time of collective duress. So that's Humanity Rising tomorrow. Again, I know there's daylight savings time in different parts of the world, but just find 5 o'clock p.m. Central European time. Everything at Humanity Rising is with that one absolute of 5 p.m. Central European time. And we'll see you all tomorrow for emotional freedom technique. But Carlos, Sabira, Paul, well done, man. Beautiful, beautiful. Love the sound and the feeling of victory. Bye-bye.